So, the next time someone asks you, what do you want to eat?
Mhm.
I really think you should pay close attention to your answer.
Oh, absolutely. It is such a loaded question.
Right. Because they aren't just asking about, your hunger, your calories. They're
Yeah.
actually asking about your emotional state.
Yeah, your stress levels, your need for control.
Exactly.
Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. And today we are looking at a really fascinating everyday conversation between two people. We have this short chat between Aman and Ria.
Two very relatable people.
Very relatable.
Hold on.
And on the surface, they are just talking about dinner. But our mission today is to unpack how these simple, everyday food choices, the things we eat all the time, actually reveal our entire philosophy on life.
It really is an amazing way to look at things. Because, when we try to understand human behavior, we always look for these huge, life-changing decisions.
Like moving to a new city or getting married.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Or changing jobs. But behavioral psychology actually finds way better information in the tiny micro decisions we make every single day. The things we just do on autopilot, right?
Yes, because think about it. Choosing what to have for dinner is a decision you make probably around 35,000 times in your life.
Wow. 35,000.
Give or take, yeah. And you cannot make a choice that many times without it showing the deeper parts of your personality. It shows how you handle stress and how you cope with the world.
And that is exactly what we see with Aman and Ria today. I mean, they're just having friendly small talk about food,
The most basic small talk.
but the differences are huge. So let's look at Aman first. He leans heavily into these bold, intense flavors. He says, quote, I love spicy food.
He is very clear about that.
Very clear. He loves street food, fast food, and he specifically names biryani as a favorite. But then you have Ria, who is the complete opposite.
She wants the exact opposite, yeah.
She prefers simple home-cooked meals. She explicitly mentions pasta. And she really values food that is, in her words, healthy and fresh.
So what we are looking at here is a massive divide. It's a difference in how people use food to basically regulate their feelings and their internal energy.
Like changing their mood with food.
Exactly. Let's start with Aman. Spicy food, street food, biryani. These are incredibly high energy, intense foods.
For sure. Especially the spicy stuff.
Right. And here's a fun fact about spice. When Aman craves spicy food, he isn't actually craving a flavor. He is craving a physical reaction in his body.
Wait, really? Because spice isn't actually a taste, right? It's a pain response.
You nailed it. It is literally a pain response. There is this chemical in chili peppers called capsaicin, and it connects to these specific receptors in your mouth.
Okay.
But those receptors didn't evolve to taste food. They actually evolved to detect literal physical heat.
Like fire.
Like fire, or like if you put boiling hot water in your mouth. So when Aman eats spicy biryani, his brain genuinely believes his mouth is on fire.
Oh, wow. So his brain thinks he is in danger.
Yes. And to help him cope with this fake injury, his nervous system floods his body with endorphins and dopamine. These are the feel-good chemicals.
So it's a rush. It's a biological thrill.
It is a total rush. He is using his diet to wake himself up, basically. He is seeking an external spark.
That makes so much sense. It kind of makes me think about how we manage the spaces around us. Like, if Aman's food preference was a volume knob on a radio, he's turning it all the way up to 10.
That is a great way to put it.
It's almost like, those people who deliberately go to a super loud, crazy music concert because they need that chaotic energy to feel normal?
Yes, the thrill seekers.
Right. Or like, he is just injecting all this intense spice and flavor into his day just to make sure his nervous system is still awake.
The sensory regulation analogy is spot on. I mean, think about modern life. A lot of people work in very structured, maybe kind of boring environments.
Sitting at a desk all day.
Exactly, sitting at a desk, looking at a screen. So the chaos and the intense flavor of street food act as a balance. It is a safe way to experience something unpredictable.
Because street food is definitely unpredictable.
It is. The sights, the loud sounds, the smells, there is no strict corporate recipe. It's vibrant. And fast food does the same thing, just with fat, salt, and sugar. It instantly hits the reward center in your brain.
So Aman is actively using his meals to add excitement to his day.
Yeah.
But then let's contrast that with Ria. Because if Aman wants the crazy roller coaster, Ria wants a cozy blanket.
A very cozy, predictable blanket.
She wants simple, home-cooked meals, pasta, healthy and fresh.
Notice the shift in where they want to be, too. Aman is looking outward, the street, the fast food counter. Ria's looking inward. She wants to be home.
Right. Safe and sound inside.
And pasta is such a specific, interesting choice here. In so many cultures, pasta is the ultimate comfort food. It's full of carbohydrates, which actually helps your brain produce serotonin.
And serotonin makes you feel calm, right?
Exactly. It makes you feel calm and happy.
Uh-huh.
But more importantly than the chemistry, making pasta is predictable. When you make a simple pasta dish at home, you have total control over what happens.
Okay, I hear you. The whole idea of Rhea seeking control and comfort makes sense. But I have to push back just a little bit here.
Go ahead.
Is it really that deep? I mean, isn't it highly possible that Rhea just makes pasta because it is literally the cheapest, fastest food you can make?
That is a fair point.
Especially since she admits she is a beginner. Are we maybe overthinking this? Maybe it's just a lack of cooking skills and a tight budget.
No, I totally get why you would say that. And you're right, the practical side of food is huge. Pasta is cheap, it doesn't go bad, and it's easy to find.
Right. It's basically student food.
It is. However, if we look closely at the actual words Rhea uses in the conversation, she doesn't talk about money or speed.
That's true. She doesn't say it's cheap.
Right. She actively describes her home cooking as relaxing, healthy, and fresh. If she only cared about low effort and cheap prices, she might be talking about instant noodles, you know?
Oh, good point. Instant noodles are way faster.
But by using words like fresh and healthy, she is showing us her intention. She is intentionally using the act of making a simple meal to calm herself down and create a controlled space.
Okay, that distinction makes a lot of sense. It's the difference between eating something just because you are broke and choosing to make something because the process of making it helps you relax.
Exactly. The environment she creates is what she really needs.
And honestly, that bridges us perfectly to the next big part of their conversation. Because it's one thing to talk about what you want to eat. It's a completely different mental game when you actually have to get up and cook it.
Oh, the transition from wanting food to actually making food. This is where the psychology of learning a new skill really shines in their chat.
Definitely. Because both Aman and Rhea are super honest about their skills. They're very vulnerable. Aman wants complex biryani. Rhea wants fresh pasta. But they both admit they can only cook basic meals.
They say they are still learning, which is great.
But the most amazing part is how Aman explains his cooking process. He breaks it down into this super simple two-step rule. He says, quote, "First, we prepare the ingredients. Then we cook the food."
Which, sounds almost funny when you hear it.
Right, because it's so obvious. Of course you prepare the ingredients first.
On the surface, it sounds silly, but from a brain science perspective, Aman is actually using a highly advanced survival strategy for a beginner.
Okay, wait. When Aman makes that hard split between prepping and cooking, it reminds me of a very specific funny feeling.
What's that?
You know when you're driving in a city you don't know, and you're lost, and you're looking for a specific street sign? And instinctively, without even thinking, you reach over and turn down the volume on the car radio.
Yes, everyone does that.
But the radio has absolutely nothing to do with your eyes. It doesn't help you see better. So is Aman basically doing the exact same thing in the kitchen? Is he just turning down the radio so his brain doesn't crash?
That driving analogy is absolutely perfect. It perfectly explains what scientists call cognitive load theory.
Cognitive load theory.
Ah.
Okay, what does that mean in simple terms?
So it was developed back in the 80s. The basic idea is that your working memory, the part of your brain that handles new information right now, has a very strict limit.
Like a computer's RAM.
Exactly like RAM. Most research says we can only hold about 4 to 7 pieces of new information in our brain at the exact same time.
And cooking a real meal from scratch is way more than 7 things.
Oh, way more. Think about a professional chef. When they cook, their brain doesn't freeze because they have practiced so much. The connections in their brain are super fast.
They don't have to think about how to hold a knife.
Right. The knife skills are automatic, so their brain has plenty of free RAM to watch the sauce, check the temperature, and add salt all at once. It flows perfectly.
But for a beginner like Aman,
For Aman, just holding the knife safely takes up a huge chunk of his memory. Remembering the recipe takes up memory. Watching the hot oil takes up memory.
so if he tries to chop a tomato while the oil is getting hot on the stove, his brain basically gets a blue screen of death.
Precisely. It's too much load. So by saying first we prepare the ingredients, then we cook, Aman is chunking the tasks. He is isolating the steps.
He's saying, I am going to use 100% of my brain just to chop these onions without cutting my finger off.
Yes. And then, once the chopping is done, once all the little bowls are ready, he clears his mental RAM. He resets. And then he uses all his focus just for the hot pan and the stirring. It's a brilliant way to learn something scary without panicking.
That is so smart. And, this completely changes how I view another thing they said. In the transcript, they both say they enjoy cooking, but only when they have time.
Ah, yes, the classic when I have time
No,
excuse.
I used to hear people say that, and I'd roll my eyes. I'd think, come on, it takes 20 minutes to boil pasta. You definitely have time. But with this cognitive load thing, is time actually just a polite word for mental energy?
I would argue it absolutely is.
Because it makes me think about buying furniture, like a bookshelf from IKEA.
Oh, IKEA furniture is the ultimate test of patience.
Seriously. Because the actual twisting of the screws, the physical work,
Mm-hmm.
that takes maybe 10 minutes. That is super fast. That's the cooking part of Amon's rule.
Right.
But opening the box, laying out the 50 pieces of wood on the floor, trying to understand a manual that has no words, that is the preparing the ingredients phase.
And that phase completely drains your brain.
It exhausts you. So when
Oh.
someone gets home from a long day at work, it's not that they don't have 20 actual minutes on the clock to make dinner, it's that they don't have the brain power to face the puzzle.
That is a phenomenal way to frame it. The hard part isn't the hot frying pan. The hard part is the cutting board.
Exactly.
When you spend all day making decisions at work, the idea of doing a multi-step project like cooking just feels impossible. And this really explains Ria's comment about cooking being relaxing.
Wait, yeah. If cooking drains your brain, how can it also be relaxing for her?
It becomes relaxing specifically when she does have that mental energy available, like on a Sunday afternoon or a very slow evening.
Oh, when she isn't rushed.
Right, because think about modern work. Most of us just type on keyboards and look at glowing screens all day. We send emails, we look at spreadsheets.
You never actually see the result of your work in the real world. You can't hold an email.
Exactly. We are so disconnected from the physical world, but cooking is real. You take a whole vegetable, you chop it with a real knife, you add heat, and it changes color and smells amazing.
It's totally hands-on.
Yes, you are interacting with the physical world, and in 30 minutes, you have created something real that keeps you alive. For Ria, stepping away from the digital world to do something physical lowers her stress. It grounds her.
That makes a lot of sense. So if preparing ingredients is this huge mental hurdle, it totally changes how we see their daily eating habits.
It really does. It brings us to the tug of war so many of us deal with.
The struggle for balance. Because in the chat, Amon says he tries to eat healthy, but he openly admits, I eat junk food sometimes. He doesn't lie about it.
Nope, he is very honest.
And Ria immediately agrees with him. She says, balance is important. They aren't trying to be perfectly healthy all the time.
And this is so refreshing. In diet culture today, if you eat one piece of junk food, you feel like you failed. But Aman and Ria understand the reality of mental energy.
They know that some days you just have zero energy left.
Right. On those days, junk food is basically engineered to save you. It requires zero prep, zero mental energy, and it gives you instant happiness chemicals.
It's the ultimate shortcut when your brain's RAM is full.
Exactly. And by calling it balance, Ria is removing the shame. This is so important. If you feel ashamed every time you eat fast food, you will just give up on cooking entirely. You have to be kind to yourself when you're a beginner.
And they show that same kindness when they talk about eating out at restaurants. Ria mentioned she really likes trying new restaurants.
Which is fun. It's an experience.
But then she says something super strong. She says, home food is always better. And Aman totally agrees.
This is such an interesting paradox.
It really is. Because restaurants have professional chefs, right? They have the best ingredients, the best ovens. Logically, restaurant food should taste way better than what a beginner makes in a tiny apartment kitchen. So why do they both insist home food is better?
Because they aren't just judging the taste, they're judging how the food makes them feel emotionally.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Going to a restaurant is a performance, it's high stress, you have to pay money, you have to talk to the waiter, you have to sit in a loud room, and the food itself is often packed with heavy butter and salt to give you a quick punch of flavor.
It's designed to impress you right away.
Yes, but home food, even if it's just Ria's simple pasta and maybe she overcooked the noodles a little bit, it is safe.
You can eat it in your pajamas.
Exactly. You don't have to perform for anybody. It tastes like your own hard work. The feeling of safety and pride in your own kitchen is way more valuable than a perfect restaurant meal.
And that leads to my absolute favorite part of their whole conversation.
The twist at the end.
Yes. So we know Aman loves the roller coaster. He loves spicy street food. But when they do a little role play, and Aman says, I really feel like eating something spicy right now, They don't go out to the street food guy.
They don't.
Their immediate answer is, let's cook at home.
It is such a brilliant compromise.
It really is. Instead of choosing Aman's crazy flavors or Ria's cozy comfort, they mix them together. They decide to make the spicy food, but inside Ria's safe environment.
It's like a life hack.
Seriously. I mean, is that the ultimate modern luxury? Recreating your favorite fast food cravings, but doing it in your own kitchen. You get the thrill of the spice, but you get to stay in your cozy blanket.
It shows they are really communicating. Aman gets his excitement, Ria gets her control, and they both save money and energy. But this moment, deciding to cook something challenging together, this actually unlocks the deepest secret of their conversation.
This is where it blew my mind.
Right, because suddenly they stop talking about food entirely.
Yeah, they zoom out. They start making these huge statements. They say cooking is an important life skill. They say food connects people. And then they bring it all back to learning a language.
The real core of the issue.
They say practice makes you confident. And Bowen specifically says you don't need perfect English, just confidence.
This is the exact moment we realize what the whole conversation was really about. Talking about food was just a vehicle. It was a safe proxy for practicing something really scary, speaking a new language.
Let's break that down. We all know that speaking a new language is terrifying. You feel so exposed. But why do they use food to talk about it? How does talking about dinner actually help them speak better English?
Okay, to understand this, we need to look at a concept in language learning called the affective filter hypothesis.
The affective filter. That sounds intense.
It sounds fancy, but it was created by a guy named Stephen Krashen, and the idea is very simple. It says that your ability to learn and speak a language depends entirely on your emotions.
Oh, really?
Yes. When you feel anxious or scared of making a mistake, it's like a massive, invisible wall goes up in your brain. That wall is the affective filter.
A stress wall.
Exactly. And when that wall is up, the fear center of your brain takes over. It actually restricts blood flow to the parts of your brain that make sentences.
Wait, are you saying that when you're nervous, your brain literally stops the machinery that makes you talk?
Literally. You can know all the vocabulary words perfectly, but if your stress wall is up, you cannot remember them. You freeze.
Wow. So how do you lower the wall?
You change the subject to something completely safe. And food is the safest, most universal topic on Earth. Every single person understands hunger.
Right, everyone eats.
Exactly. If you try to practice English by talking about complex politics or science, it's too hard. You are struggling with big ideas, and foreign words at the same time. The stress wall goes way up.
But if you just talk about pasta,
If you talk about pasta, or biryani, or the fact that you love junk food, the ideas are super easy. They are familiar and happy topics. Your brain realizes there is no danger, the stress wall comes down, and suddenly you can speak smoothly.
that is incredible. So Aman and Ria are actually using their beginner cooking skills to lower each other's stress walls. They admit they're beginners in the kitchen.
Yeah.
They admit they eat junk food.
They're showing each other their flaws.
Yes, by admitting they aren't perfect chefs, they are creating a safe space to not be perfect English speakers.
Exactly. They're basically saying to each other, look, I am not perfect at cooking my own dinner, so it is completely fine if you make a mistake in your sentence.
It's a mutual truce, like I sometimes burn my toast and you sometimes use the wrong word. It's fine. And honestly, the parallel between the food they make and the words they speak is just beautiful.
How so?
Well, look at how they describe their cooking. Basic, simple, still learning. Think about serving a basic, imperfect plate of pasta. Maybe it needs more salt. Maybe it looks messy, but it still works. It still feeds you. It still brings two people together at a table.
And what's the language equivalent of that?
The language equivalent is that your communication absolutely does not need to be grammatically perfect to work.
Right.
Like, if I am traveling in a foreign country and I walk up to a guy and just say, "Where? Train, please?" That is a terrible sentence grammatically.
That is very broken, yeah.
It's a basic meal of a sentence. It has no seasoning,
Yeah.
but it gets me to the train station. It solves the problem. Serving imperfect food or speaking a broken sentence both require the exact same magic ingredient.
The willingness to try. Confidence.
Confidence.
Yeah.
When Aman says you don't need perfect English, just
Hmm.
confidence, he is summing up the entire episode. He's basically saying you don't need to be a master chef. You just need the confidence to turn on the stove.
And notice the exact words he uses. He says, practice makes you confident. He does not say the old saying, practice makes perfect.
Oh, wow. I didn't even catch that. That is a huge difference.
It is massive. Because perfection is a trap. It stops you from doing anything. If you wait until you can cook a flawless, world-class biryani before you invite a friend over for dinner, you are going to eat alone for a very long time.
You will miss out on years of fun waiting to be perfect.
Exactly. And it is the exact same with language. If you wait until your accent is perfect and your grammar is flawless before you speak to anyone, you will just be silent and lonely. The real goal of practicing isn't to fix every mistake.
Then what is it?
The goal of practicing is just to build enough confidence so that when you do make a mistake, you don't panic and quit.
The willingness to serve the messy meal or speak the messy sentence is what actually connects human beings. We always think people want us to be perfect, but Aman and Ria show us that sharing food and sharing language works because it is vulnerable.
That vulnerability is the magic. When Ria asks Aman what he wants to eat and he says he needs spicy food and she says, let's cook it together in my kitchen, they aren't just meal planning.
Right. They are taking care of each other.
They are negotiating their feelings, their energy levels, and their friendship. They are using this super simple menu to say, I see you, I know you are tired, let's figure this out together, even if we are bad at it.
So what does this all mean for you listening to us today? Let's just do a quick recap of the journey we took.
We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. We started with what looked like the most boring conversation ever. Two people deciding what to eat. But then we saw the deep psychology behind Aman's love for spicy, thrilling street food, the roller coaster, and Ria's love for fresh, safe, home-cooked pasta, the cozy blanket.
And then we talked about the actual cooking. We looked at how hard it is for your brain to learn a new skill.
The cognitive load.
Yes, the cognitive load. Aman's trick of preparing all the ingredients first is a brilliant way to stop your brain from crashing.
Which naturally brought us to the struggle for balance. We talked about how being too tired to cook isn't about time, it's about brain energy, and how eating junk food sometimes is totally fine, and how making your favorite foods in your own safe kitchen is the ultimate luxury.
And finally, we uncovered the real secret, that talking about food was just a way to lower the stress wall.
Lowering the affective filter.
Yes. By admitting they were bad at cooking, Aman and Ria created a safe space to practice English. They proved that you don't have to be perfectly to connect with someone. You just need confidence.
Which brings me to a final thought for you, our listener, to mull over today. We've spent all this time analyzing how Aman and Ria's cooking styles show how they handle life and learning. So I want you to turn that lens on yourself.
I love this.
Think about the next time you try to learn something totally new and scary. Maybe it's a new language, maybe it's a complicated new computer program at work, or maybe it's a new hobby. Compared to your cooking habits, who are you when the heat turns on?
Oh, that's a great question.
Are you the type who meticulously reads the manual? Do you chop every single ingredient and put them in little glass bowls before you even touch the stove so you have total control?
Slater.
Or do you just turn the flame on high, throw some random spices in the pan, and embrace the chaos hoping it tastes good before it burns?
The thrill seeker.
Exactly. And more importantly, what does that say about how you face the unpredictable, crazy unknown of your everyday life?
Something to think about next time you make dinner.
Definitely. Think about that the next time you find yourself standing in front of an open fridge wondering what to make. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking those deeper questions, keep exploring the hidden meanings behind your small talk, and we'll catch you next time.